Okay, so this is like real time, right? So I made the last video, I posted it, and now I'm here, and I'm just like, what do I do now? Because it feels like I should do more. Like, it feels like, being on YouTube before used to be like this process of figure out what you're going to talk about broadly, then specifically, then like go through the actual process of recording it and then upload it to your computer and then edit it down so that way you removed every single breath, so that way you could be, like respectful of your viewers' time, and like, that took you 12 hours to do that. So like you respected 3 minutes that they would have lost by you breathing in your 30-minute video that you made, and then you lost 12 hours for that. So that aside, apparently I have some feelings about that, but it's like you do that process, and then you literally spend like 12 hours editing it, and then you get it up, and then you have to do the whole like end cards and figuring out, like, I don't know. Anyway, the point is like I uploaded that video. I don't know if anybody will see it because it's not polished and whatever, and I'm sitting here being like, well, is there even any value in that? Like, why is anybody even going to click on this? Because if there's no value for them to be like, oh, this is what's going to happen for me, like, I'm an astrology enthusiast, so like I want to plan ahead and like all that, like, and yeah, hopefully we're going to do some like plan with me stuff, and like it's like there's that stuff I anticipate. Like, this calendar is about dead. Only one more month. Which, that brings me into another thought. You know what I hate? I used to work in shoe sales, and I absolutely hate when your shoes wear out, because oftentimes the shoes that you want to, like, that you love, that you can't just get them again. That's the worst part about fashion, having like such a short lifespan, is I don't want a new pair of shoes. I want my old pair to be new again. I was just telling my stepdaughter about this. Same thing about calendars. Like, you can't just buy this calendar again, like you have to pick a different one. That kind of sucks. I hate that. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to do stuff like that. But like right now, I just have to like sit in this void of discomfort, because it's like, I feel like I should be doing more. Like, I want you, to get value. So like I have to ask myself, like, is there any value in you hearing my story? I hope so. Sometimes we'll, talk more broadly about like processes unfolding and like timelines that are relevant, and we'll investigate like the ephemeris and stuff, because like that's part of me rebuilding my life. But like I'm in this void right now. Esoteric Healing Sky, I put I have them in my description because I listen to them regularly. It's like, sorry, my arm's tired. Anyway, what was I saying now? I have forgotten. I think you're upside down. I don't know if it matters. There we go. Like I said, you're here for the chaos. Apparently there will be 2 sets of videos for this one, because I accidentally closed my phone by pushing the button. So, liminal spaces, that's what I was talking about. So Sky talks about liminal spaces, and I think they're referencing like Neptune transit through the anaretic degrees specifically in the video I'm thinking of. But even if not, like just the process of living through, and we're all doing this, so this is not just me, like we're all living through this process of the outer planets moving into the new signs, right? Like we've got Pluto has entered into Aquarius. That's been a while now, since like 2023, and then Saturn and Neptune both moved into Aries, and then Uranus moved into Gemini, and now those last 3 have all kind of moved back. Jupiter is also retrograde. Mercury's retrograde. Thank God Mars and Venus are not going retrograde right now, so we don't have to deal with that. But like there is a lot of this like liminal space energy right now, and it's feeling really uncomfortable. So like going through the process of feeling like I don't really feel like my tires are spinning. I've felt like that before. You might feel like that. That very much could be. And if I didn't know, kind of like, if I didn't know anything about astrology, I might be sitting here being like, why are my tires, like, I feel like my tires are spinning. So So that might be something that some are feeling with these retrogrades. But more so, I just feel like this pressure of the wait, like the waiting that we have to go through in order to get back to the spring. So like this fall and winter, like it's very much a winter of waiting and getting through this and like crossing the T's and dotting the I's and getting through the process of what's next and knowing something is coming. But like, you know, I had a preview over the last few months, you know, this last half of year so far, maybe like 4 to 6 months of like what's coming, but we're not there yet. Like we can't be there yet. We have to be in the old, you know, the old timeline in order to finish them up. And it's just so uncomfortable. You know, I don't know how to move faster. Like you can't move faster. Like that's the whole thing. So it's nice to know, but it's also not really that helpful if you're trying to look for something to do. You know, like I've already kind of cleaned my room. I've already kind of, you know, made a new plan for how to get back on track. But so I haven't mentioned this in the videos that I didn't mention this in the last video, but I basically closed my business in July, because my consulting business specifically in July, because I needed to create a triage plan for our finances, because we were just going so backwards, like so far backwards. And a lot of this had to do with the Mercury retrograde that we had in the summer. And I just needed I needed to get really serious about paying down some debt. And so I basically quit my business, closed my business. I quit my serving job that I was at basically the day before. I didn't go back. I did, you know, tell them like, hey, this is my opportunity. You know, I have an opportunity to go back to a resort that I worked at, but I have to leave tomorrow. And so I did that. I moved across the country to go work at that resort, made the money, got the debt paid down in order to make a little room in our cash flow and our finances so that we could stop going backwards. Now, though, that part's over. Like, the resort's not busy now. It's not summertime. And so it's not something that I could just keep doing. Plus, it was literally across the country from my family. And so maybe you have something like that where you're like, I can't just keep doing what I was doing. Like, I accomplished kind of what that was supposed to be doing over the summer. Now I'm just waiting, you know, and it feels like, yeah, I could obviously keep, you know, doing some sort of similar thing. You know, this is very much supportive of like going back and doing something again. So like that's absolutely supported, but like there might still be a process that you're in the middle of starting. You know, I talked about the Scorpio new moon in my last video, so there's a lot of that going on. But you know, with Mercury Cazimi going on at the time of this new moon, like you might not have the information that you need yet in order to do that. And so that's maybe where I'm feeling like, what's the information? Because, you know, with Uranus opposite, I just would love the information to move forward, you know. And a lot of the, you know, some of these themes are also highlighted because of the water trines. Some of it is, you know, just waiting for certain boxes to be checked for things to move forward. But some of it is also just intuitively, I know that it doesn't make sense to rush here. Not me specifically, but maybe you, right? Because everybody's dealing with water trines right now, and whether or not they affect anything in your chart by degree and planet, they're still in an area of your chart to do with the house. So it's all three are related. So just like a quick, I don't even know what the word is, but like context, right? The circle chart has the three elements that are the same make a triangle. So that would be the trines. Okay, so if you have for water rising, then it's going to be their self-expression houses. If you are oh geez, I'm testing myself on how this works. If you have air rising, then you're going to have water in the second, and then the 6th and the 10th, so your work houses. If you're air, and then let's see if I did water, and then air. If you're an earth sign, that would be me. And then you're gonna have it in your social houses, so 3, 7, and 11. And so that's a lot about people in your life and making time for them and what it means to have them in your life. And then as far as the fire rising, then you've got it in your emotional houses, right? So 4th, 8th, and 12th. So a very emotional space, very much private, very much dealing with behind the scenes things. And so hopefully that helps. But I'm currently having it with my people, and so I'm really having to face, like, what does it mean to have these people in my life? How do I show up for them? How do I have a lifestyle that allows me to do that? And if I just build my life with only one aspect in mind, i.e. my business or my people or my individual like self-expression, like, I don't know, there's a balancing act going on. And with all these trines, it's funneling all that energy into that area. And so we're kind of drowning in information with that. And then, having to just feel our way through how to use it. So anyway, that was a tangent. I didn't even know I was going to go on. But yeah, so it could be that generally me and you are all feeling like there's more to this and I can sense it, but I don't know how to use it yet. Or I'm just, we're having to get comfortable with the information, like, honestly, I didn't really expect like family and like, it's more than family, because it's not just like, oh, inherently you're part of my family, so now you're important. Like, it's not like that, because I've never had that relationship with my family. They've always lived far from me. Not always, but for the last 15 years, they've lived far from me. And now this is over this last year, this is the first time that I've actually lived near them. And so that's different. But it's like my partner and, my audience, like you guys, like who I'm talking to and who's listening to me. And then, especially with my siblings, because my third house rule is my siblings. And I'm getting to know them finally, which I didn't know them before. I was an only child that had 7 siblings. 6. I think I have 6 siblings. I don't even know how many siblings I have, because it was such a removed part of my life. And it wasn't that I didn't care about them, it's just I didn't know them. They didn't know me. We knew each other's names. I've said that many times. Like, just because I know your name doesn't mean I know you, and just because you know my name doesn't know me. You don't know me. Anyway, I'm having to like live through the process of not deciding whether that matters, because it does. But now I'm like living with the process of balancing that it does matter, because it wasn't even really a feature of my life before. So anyway, that's where I'm at with the water trines. I think one other piece before I kind of cut this off, just because I never want these to be super long, because again, these are not going to be edited, just so you know. If this is your first video from me, I don't have the personality type to be able to edit things, but I do think I have important stuff to share, so this is what it's going to be like. So the water trines, I think, are related to the Mars story that we had over the winter last year. So just kind of look and connect the dots between what was going on with Mars retrograde. Just as a reminder, Mars retrograde happened. It entered in, I think, at the end of September of 2024 or beginning of October, one of the two. And then it went forward into Leo a while, and then it retrograded back through Cancer. And overall, it was like a 6-month process over the winter where we were, having to deal with Martian things. And, that can be conflict and separation. And then Cancer could be family, but definitely check your, or Leo, right, could also be like your self-expression. But definitely look at the house in your chart, because, it may not be particularly familial if it was happening in a house that's not related to your family at all. But there's probably some still links to how it affects your family, or how you feel about how it interacts with your family, something like that. Anyway, I definitely can see the connections. I actually also have a Mars ruled 4th house, so family was everywhere for me and all that. And my husband is Cancer rising, so very much, us making decisions in order to be more present together, to have goals that were conducive together, and like how we were gonna actually take action, Mars's action, in order to solve these problems, right? And then, of course, around the time that, the summer was happening, we were, and Cancer was highlighted by the sun and all the Cancer planets, the Mercury and Venus that were going through, the seasonal planets, the lunation in Cancer, and then in Leo. That whole time during the summer, things were really being highlighted as to how we're dealing with this stuff. And so now we're kind of getting that again. Jupiter is going through Cancer, and now it's retrograding. And so it's kind of, I think it was Chris from the astrology podcast talked about kind of a healing balm. Jupiter being a healing balm going through where Mars had kind of singed things and stirred them up a lot. And I think that I can see it, I trusted them, because I understand, Jupiter versus is Mars as well, but I can see it playing out in my life now, especially with the way that it's going, retrograde, and certain things are coming back around that I'm not going to talk about personally, but I can see them coming back around, and hope that's happening for you too. So if you have anything about your experience with these water trines and just kind of that liminal space of, the outer planets moving back into their previous signs, into the feminine polarity with Taurus especially, and Pisces especially, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. I want this to be an interactive space. I'm going to treat you like my best friend. I'm going to tell you what I would tell my best friend, and I would love for you to tell me too. Yeah, so that's that. 2 videos in one day. I'm not holding this shit back. Like, it's got to go. That's the whole thing. So I'll see you in the next one.